Hello, lovely Libras. This is your reading for the week of September 8th, or when you hear this and it resonates, and it won't be for every Libra. Libra, I started having a lot of stuff come in, so bear with me. I'm going to try to put it all together in a cohesive sequence. The first thing that I see, my dears, is you sitting in a beautiful, quiet monastery up in the Himalayas. And I feel it has a Tibetan quality to it, that beautiful Tibetan Buddhist, gentle, soft quality. And if you've ever seen videos of them, we're doing their meditations and their prayers. They're sitting there quietly with their eyes down, and there's often a chanting, and it's very low and it's very vibrant. And it's resonating through their whole body. And I feel that's really relevant and important for you to hear, resonating through the body. Then what I'm noticing in this vision that Spirit is giving me is you're actually looking down at your navel. So, of course, navel gazing, self-reflection, but not in a way that is self-indulgent. It's because it's put within the context, for me, of a Tibetan chanting monk, which for me in my psychic dictionary is something that is serious, intentional, honorable, honoring. The navel gazing in this case for me that they're also showing me is something that is of a high spiritual nature. Now, the other thing that I heard as I was getting the cards ready was I was reminded of a conversation that I had at least 25 years ago with a friend of mine who said to me, she was a Libra, and she said to me, Lynn, sometimes you're a hard friend to have because you ask yourself the difficult questions and it makes me have to ask them about myself. And I don't always want to do that. And that, I would say, Libra, is true of many Libras in the past, where doing too much soul searching was a really difficult thing to do. Now, there's a difference between overthinking and soul searching. Overthinking is where you try to stay out of emotion and feeling and figure it out logically, which is what often Libras will do. And what I'm getting now is, again, that real sense of support from Spirit, because what they're saying is that so many of you have crossed that bridge and you understand the difference now of the feeling in your body and thus the resonating in the body. And the fact that you are looking more deeply. You are looking, you are feeling deeply. You are thinking, you are aligning your thoughts with your feelings more and more. When they want you to what they want to remind you of is that it is progressive. And what they really want to support you in doing is understanding that you don't always feel like you know what you're doing when you do it. When you are being self-reflective, when you are getting in touch with your feelings, sometimes you feel like you really don't have a handle on it, and it can get to a place where it almost feels hopeless, and that's when you can get into a lot of the self-recrimination again, and they really want to encourage you not to do that. It's not about giving up. It's about surrendering into the process. Giving up is turning your back on something. Surrendering into it is staying engaged with it in a way where you are allowing it to unfold in its own time. And that's what you're getting here. Oh, I love it. You're getting discipline and you're getting new day. You're getting discipline as a statement of it's important for you, Libras, oh lovely Libras, to not let that sense of frustration and feeling like you don't know what you're doing with the self-reflection, and that it might create more pain or more chaos. Any of those things that come up as we start looking at the parts of ourselves that are difficult, that's where you use your discipline, is to say, no, this is a new way. This is a new day. I am going to surrender into it, and I am going to trust that this is the new way of being. And I'm going to soften into that sense of surrender, into knowing myself more. And part of the reason you're able to do that is because you're learning to understand compassion. You're learning to understand that you can just move towards curiosity and understanding rather than judgment. That is such a huge, huge thing for you, especially in relation to yourselves, Libra. This is so beautiful and so important because so many of you are on the verge, so many of you are beyond being on the verge of doing this new thing. But you've got to realize it goes in waves, and it will feel sometimes like you're on the verge again, and then you'll slip back down, and then you'll get frustrated with yourself. And that's where you can go into hopelessness, and you go, no, 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 no. That is just part of the process. This is the wave of consciousness. Now, the other thing they wanted me to remind you of, my loves, is this. You are, breathe as a way of staying in touch with your body and staying centered and in the present. But also, you can sometimes feel as though if you're not doing it 110%, then you're not doing it. And that they're reminding you that there is a flow to everything, and that sometimes you will just have to get on with doing life. It's that cartoon that you'll often see, the Buddhist cartoon. It's before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. They're reminding you there is always going to be a chop wood, carry water function in your daily life. And that sometimes that is going to be the thing that is the most important. And you're not necessarily going to be able to do deep work. But the point is, once you start doing it, and once you create a space for it, then you get the opportunity. You're building that as a resource in yourself. And it's something that your higher mind, your higher conscious, your heart is going to want to continue to move toward. Because as you start compassionately receiving those parts of yourself and loving those parts of yourself that you have hidden from you, and emotions that you've hidden from yourself for fear of them, the more you integrate them, the more you can look at them and embrace them with compassion and love, the freer you are in yourself, and the happier you are, and the more energy you have, and the more peaceful, vibrant energy you have, as opposed to anxious, nervous energy that you have. Now, there's something else that they wanted me to say, and they reminded me again, and what was it? Please bring it back. Oh, yes, thank you. What they're saying is, very often, when you've had parents who were domineering, narcissistic, bigger than life, bigger than life, as in maybe mega famous, or just very socially elevated for some reason. A child can look at that, and it can create a sense of not living up to that, because how can a child? Because they're still evolving, right? So narcissistic, controlling, bigger than life, absent, critical, shaming, any of those things can create a situation where there is a tendency to feel less than. And usually there's a kind of theme that goes along with that. So what can I say about how can I make that more clear? So it might be, whatever the behavior was, it might leave you feeling, or as a child, it might have left you feeling that you just weren't smart. You just weren't smart enough. What Spirit is saying is, as you identify what that main theme is, or different themes that were robbing you of your personal power and limiting your ability to really develop your own personal sense of identity and attachment and strength in your core, what they're saying you can do every day as an exercise is remind yourself, give yourself what you didn't give, or neutralize for you what needed to be neutralized. So if every day you got told something that was negative, now tell yourself the opposite. Say, I know that sometimes people made you feel stupid, but you know what? Look at how far you've come in. You're really smart. You're really intelligent. Look at this and that and that. And it might just be, good job. Good job. But something that is a counterpoint to whatever was not supportive for you or was destructive for you. Okay? And that is something you can incorporate on a daily level. And that is really something that I can say makes a huge difference. It's so simple and it's powerful. If every time you do something, my gosh, cleaning my kitchen and getting my kitchen and my counters all off, it's like I look at that and I go, good job. That makes me feel, I know it's very simple, but it's powerful. So you can, cleaning the house was never a big, what can I say that? My sister and I, my next sister and I, we did not get the cleaning gene, and we didn't get modeled that terribly well as kids either. So it's like whenever my house is in spick-span shape, I look at it and I go, holy cow, good job, Walden, good job. And that actually just encourages me to do it more, and it gets me over that old energy of apathy, not being able to, and that sense of not being able to manage things on a practical level, okay? So how's that for self-disclosing? But my house is clean now. So there we go. So they wanted me to remind you of that. And the other thing was, so apply that as much as you can on a daily basis and consider that and understand that to be a spiritual practice is what they want to say. And then the other thing was, why did you give me that card? What does that connect with? Okay. So the idea of what was my role in that? So Libra, I see. That goes along with the suggestion that they just made, which was when you catch yourself in a funk or in that sense of hopelessness and going back, that is where you say to yourself, what is my role in perpetuating that? Because now the past is gone. If you're still living it, you're still feeling it, you are perpetuating it. So what can you do to change that? But within all of that, you're being asked to please remember, take God with you and understand you are a child of God, that you have a higher self, you are a higher being, and that this is you now learning to move beyond whatever that staticky disturbance was that prevented you from being able to look inward. Now, you're beyond that. You're moving beyond that. And of course, everybody's going to be at a different stage, but I just want to remind you, please, it happens in waves. It happens in waves. And sometimes the down waves last a while. But that's your job. Your job then is to remind yourself of the things that they have suggested and to have compassion for yourself and to realize that you can make a choice and it's a new day, but that sometimes it's a new day, you can make new choices, and that sometimes it is chop wood, carry water. And to not be down on yourself and to realize that doing those small things that they suggested around old themes is actually a really powerful energy to keep a momentum going without you going into a lot of journaling or self-reflection. Okay? I leave you with that, Libra. Take care.